What is up, Senders? Today we're going to talk about 5 tips that I really recommend if you're just now getting into mountain biking. Hey everyone, if this is your first time here, I'm Josh, this is Chicken Cindy's, and basically we talk about anything bike related. If this is your first time here and you enjoy videos like this, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification icon because evidently it does good things for the channel. You probably know more about it than I do. So, I've been riding a few years now and kind of just want to share some tips and tricks that I've learned over the years of progress. So we're going to get into 5 things that I do recommend and we're just going to dive right into it. So with number 1, what I highly recommend is you ride your bike. Now, this probably seems elementary to some of you and you're like, well, duh, that's what I'm gonna do. But if you're new to biking, what you're not really gonna understand is just the sport in general and basically like what it takes to get good in a sense of like riding trails and such. Your first bike ride may only be a mile or 2 depending on your fitness. This may be your new way to get into shape. This may be just something you're doing because you're wanting a way to get outside. But if you're not riding your bike, then you're not really doing anything that's going to kind of start like, you learning how to ride and to go. Kind of silly to some people to have to say that, but if you buy a bike and it's just going to sit in your garage, you're not going to get any better. The longer you ride, the more comfortable you're going to get with your bike, the more comfortable you're going to get just riding in general, and the more endurance you're going to have, because really the first year of riding is going to be nothing but endurance, just building your stamina to actually be able to do trails. And I remember my first year of riding and it was miserable. My first ride was like maybe 2 miles. And I mean, I was dead. I was gassed and exhausted, and you'll get there, but you just have to ride your bike. So that is number 1, ride your bike. Number 2, don't be afraid to play with your bike's settings. What that means is, now that you have a mountain bike, depending on what kind of bike you have, you're gonna have a front tire, a rear tire, you're most likely gonna have a front suspension or a fork, and a rear suspension. Now, there's gonna be different PSIs that are recommended for your size, your weight, your ride style, and that kind of a thing. Everybody's gonna be different in this department. So if you don't have a shock pump, that's the pump you're gonna use to air up your actual suspension. So your fork and your rear suspension. There's gonna be different settings and dials, and I'm not necessarily gonna get into that because depending on what style you have, if it's Fox, RockShox, Suntour, I mean, there's a ton of different styles, Öhlins, depending on how much you've spent. But don't be afraid to put a little more air in it, take a little air out. Same with your tires, depending on trail conditions and that kind of a thing. You may wanna ride different styles or amounts of air pressure in your front and rear tires. So if you're on the trail and maybe it's feeling a little rough or something, let a little air out. Maybe put a little air in if you're maybe losing traction or something like that, depending on the actual trail conditions and depending on where you ride. Maybe you have more rock settings, maybe you're more soil settings, maybe you're more clay. It just depends. Find someone maybe that rides that's around your same size and see what they ride on their actual bikes as well. So, number 2, don't be afraid to play with your bike's just settings in general. Number 3, this is one of my favorite ones because this is also what I'd call the pimping your bike section, okay? Contact points. Whenever you get a bicycle, you're going to have specific contact points. There are really technically only 3 places where your body makes contact with the bike: your grips, your saddle, and your pedals. If you don't like one of those 3 things, it's going to make your ride just not fun at all. So don't be afraid to play around with grips, as in buying different grips. Don't be afraid to buy different pedals, and definitely don't be afraid to buy a different saddle. Maybe your butt doesn't like the saddle it has, so you need to try a different one. Me, myself, I love Ergon saddles. I just think they're terrific. Grips, I love Vans ODI grips. I think Vans ODI grips are just amazing. And for me, DMR Vaults are my choice of pedals. And now there are some different options here because grips, saddles, and pedals can get pretty expensive. You have budget options on Amazon, and the ones that I just named really aren't super budget friendly. But if you're going to spend money on your bike, contact points are 100% somewhere where you should spend the money because, like I said, those are 3 parts of the bike that your body will be touching. So you want to switch those out and figure out what you do or don't like. You can go to a local bike shop and a lot of them will let you put the saddle on the bike and try it out and see what you think. So like I said, this is called the Pimp My Bike section as well. Get some grips and pedals that match. Get some colors, you know, if maybe you have a white bike, so you can do blue, purple, black, red, green. I mean, the colors are endless in this department, and it's really fun. So don't be afraid, number 3, to change out your contact points. Number 4, this is going to save you a lot of hassle trailside. Now, this is going to be different for each person depending on what you're wanting to do. What number 4 is, simple bike maintenance, okay? I'm not talking about swapping forks or you know, doing oil changes on your forks and stuff like that. Simple, easy stuff, like maybe checking your chain, lubing and cleaning your chain after rides, learning how to change your tires, such as if you're running tubes, learn how to take your tire off, put the tire on, and probably the first time you do that, you're gonna look at your tire and realize, oh man, these actually go a specific way. They're rotational, so you have to pay attention to arrows and things like that. There are just little things on the bike that if something happens on the side of the trail is gonna save you so much heartache, because whenever you get a new bike, things will happen. I remember getting like 2 or 3 flats in one ride once, and I found out I had a staple in my tire and I didn't think about checking the inside of the tire after I changed the inner tube. So I took the tube out, like, okay, there was a flat. I put the new tube in, I aired it up, and it was flat again in about 5 minutes. And it was because I didn't think to check the tire for something that had been stuck in the actual tire. So little things like that you will learn how to do, but it's important, in my opinion, just to learn simple bike maintenance. How to change a chain, how to maybe take a link out or put a master link in, things like that. Again, like simple stuff like cleaning your bike, bike maintenance just in general. So number 4 for me is just learning simple bike maintenance. Number 5, this is one that will make your mountain biking experience just skyrocket, okay? I myself am a firefighter paramedic, so a lot of the times when I bike ride, I have to bike ride by myself because I'm going in the morning when I got off, and most normal people work a typical, 9 to 5 job, 8 to 5 job, whatever it is. So I ride a lot by myself. Number 5 is find locals to ride with, okay? Maybe there's a friend that brought you into trail riding or mountain biking, or maybe you're just decided to start doing it. Once you go to the trail system, your local trail system, try to meet up with people who have ridden there before or who know the trails. They're going to teach you things that you never even realized. I have a local trail here by me in Charleston, and there was an entire trail section that I had no idea really even existed. And I started going to Tuesday night group rides. That goes into riding with locals. See if there's any group rides. Don't be afraid to do them. Don't be afraid to join them. Like, one main thing that I've learned in my time of mountain biking is mountain bikers are just such an inclusive group of people. Like, we want people to join. We want people to start bike riding. And it's so cool just to see this amazing community come together. So if you're new to mountain biking, make some friends at the trailhead. Get on Facebook and type in your local just trail system and see if there's Facebook groups and things like that. And you're gonna realize real quick that even though you're starting this new adventure, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to want to come behind you and join with you and help you ride. And hopefully most people are like me, where like, I would rather ride just 2 miles with someone who's new and showing them around that takes an hour because he needs breaks than riding 15 by myself, because I want to get people into this sport and enjoying just what this actual sport has done for me, and it's so cool. So number 5, find locals to ride trails with. I know this is a little bit different of a video than I typically do, so if you do like this format, let me know down in the comments, because I really do enjoy this kind of thing. But I just wanted to share with some people the different things over the years that have helped me. I've had quite a few people here recently ask me about what bikes I recommend and just, like, what do I recommend in the sense of actually getting into mountain biking as well, okay? Something I didn't touch on in the 5 is because I didn't this is something you should just automatically have: helmets and protection and that kind of a thing. Make sure you're wearing helmets and things like that whenever you're riding. You're most likely an adult, then you can make your own decisions. But one bad turn or something like that and some head trauma, that's not ideal for anybody. So I left that out because I was under the assumption that you have already all grabbed that, but I figured I should mention it real quick. So, is there something that you would recommend? Is there something that I left out that you think is pretty important as well? Let's put them down in the comments and just try to help people who are new to mountain biking. I really hope you all enjoyed this. I really appreciate you all for tuning in. And until next time, everybody take care.